guys hold it up? You want to hold it up like this so the camera's
So the camera sees it?
Oh, really?
We don't want to block the camera, though.
I know, we're like, we already drank like 12 bottles of water.
Hello, y'all. I'm Angela Rodriguez-Mayers. I live in Austin. I've lived here for a long time, and for about 99% of that time, I've known Garry. Garry and I have known each other for 30 years. We met in preschool, obviously. We actually met when we were both going to UT Austin. My sophomore year, I decided to join an organization called Alpha Phi Omega, which is a service fraternity, a co-ed service fraternity here at UT and across the country. They do things like, well, here at UT, they run that giant Texas flag that you see during the football games. And in addition to that fun thing, they also organize blood drives, and they do community outreach and service and things like that. They're a very good organization. And I was in APO for the rest of my college career and met some of the best friends I'll ever have, and Garry is one of those. Garry was interested in politics from even before I met him, obviously, and he held various offices in APO, various positions in APO, and one of them he was president for a while. And when he was president, he was able to negotiate peace between various groups that had different agendas, and he kept a bunch of mostly immature but well-meaning, well-intentioned people focused on the important stuff, which was helping people. That was what we were there to do. Garry left Austin and went to DC and other places, worked for other organizations. He worked for the Human Rights Campaign for a while and other things before he came back to where he belongs here in Texas. I've known Garry for a long time, and I know that he's committed to hearing our voices and joining us on the battlefield, and that he's dedicated to making life better for the people of Texas, for all of the people of Texas. And that's why I'll be voting for Garry for governor. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Eileen Ladd. I'm a native Texan, and I've lived in Austin almost 30 years. I can't believe that. If you're as old as I am, then you're familiar with a book that was very popular. It was on the bestseller list many years ago. It was called All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. All I need to know about Garry Brown I learned in preschool. Yeah, preschool. Garry worked at the ECP where my children attended. I saw him to be dedicated, energetic, he worked hard, and he was willing to do the hard work. I trusted him to take care of my children, and there is no greater endorsement a human being can give to another human being than to entrust their children to them. I've had an occasion to go up to the Capitol and see what's going on there from time to time, and what we see there is a lot of lack of empathy, a lot of concern, lack of concern for people who are who have less in terms of power, in terms of status, in terms of their ability to speak for themselves. And I am here today because I think that Garry has demonstrated through his activities, not only as a preschool teacher, teaching kids to play well with each other, to put their toys away and to behave, and to be a role model for them, but in all the work that he's done after that, to work to bring people together and to bring empathy and concern and care in all that he does. So I am really proud to be here to support Garry for governor. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kelly Sauls, and I have known Garry for over 25 years.
When I was a young, impressionable UT student, we both worked at First English Child Development Center. From the first day that I met Garry, he was just a force. I saw how all the children loved him, they listened to him, they respected him. But there were some things about Garry that drew me to him. One, his strong knowledge of what's happening in the community, not only in Austin, but around the state. I felt like I was being tutored by Garry. He was like, girl, you need to get involved. You need to become aware. So we would have these conversations about things that were happening here in the city. I also appreciated his authenticity and genuineness. What you see is what you get from Garry. There's never any facade that isn't real for him. You take him as he is, and I really appreciated that. He taught me how to be my authentic self and to sit in who I am, and I really appreciated it. And then finally, Garry has always been an advocate for as long as I've known him. That's been a theme in his life for over the 25 years that I've known him, from his work with the Human Rights Campaign, through his public service, what he's doing now, and now running for governor. I am a proud friend who is happy to support Garry Brown for governor.
I know most of you are here to see whether I'm really going to do it. Texas, by its very name, means friend. Unfortunately, the absent Abbott and his Republican faction of so-called leaders have made our state hostile to almost everyone. They hate children, people who are sick, women, people of color, the LGBTQ community, and working and middle-class families. If they didn't, why haven't they fixed our education funding? If they didn't, why did they house our kids under the care of Child Protective Services in state office buildings? If they didn't, why did they pass the disgraceful SB 4 during the last regular session? If they didn't, why have the state's redistricting maps been found unconstitutional numerous times? If they didn't, why are they so infatuated with who takes a leak in a bathroom? If they didn't, why is Texas leading the nation in maternal deaths? If they didn't, why is there alternative to Planned Parenthood, a failing women's health program, which is on its third reincarnation? Texas is number 4 in the teen birth rate and number 1 in repeat teen pregnancy, number 30 in gender wage gap, 41 in public schools, 42 in higher ed attainment, 43 in spending per pupil. We're home to over 2,300 colonias. 16 rural hospitals have closed in the last 4 years, and many more are on their deathbed. And speaking of death, Texas still has the highest uninsured rate in the country, and we have the highest rate of on-the-job fatalities by far. This is just the tip of the iceberg, which, by the way, is melting faster and faster because they hate the earth, too. And this is the Texas miracle that we keep hearing about. There is only one thing to call this, and that's bullshit. Absent Abbott is allowing this to happen while he is engaged in a one-sided pissing contest with the state of California. Really? Just check his Twitter account. He bashes California at least once a week, and in the meantime, California is like, what's this rain on my leg? Here's some of what I believe, and I'll start with a radical idea. We're going to make public education our first priority. As a former preschool teacher, I believe that education is the backbone of our society, and it allows all other professions to exist. When 26% of Texas's population is under 18, and approximately 25% of that population lives in poverty, it is unconscionable that we aren't doing more. Well-educated citizens don't believe crazy ideas like those espoused by some of those jackasses you find on talk radio, in the state legislature, or even in the White House. Yeah. Let's transform our state's education system from preschool all the way through college without using vouchers, which I am totally against. If it is still available, Texas will take the Medicaid expansion when I become governor.
Awesome.
Millions upon millions of dollars are available just for the asking. When Texas still has the highest uninsured rate in the country and dozens of rural hospitals are closing or in danger of closing, why wouldn't we take this money? I'm a firm believer in local control. Just as the states are incubators of ideas for our country, Texas cities and counties should be for our state. I believe our legislature should unleash the innovation of our cities and find what works and what doesn't. As Attorney General, Absent Abbott sued the federal government 31 times. But as the Texas governor, he has no qualms about taking away the rights of our cities to pass ordinances that he finds objectionable. In short, he dislikes big government when it involves the feds, but he himself practices it every day. And now he's begging the feds to send us money to help with the Harvey recovery work. This isn't just irony, folks. It's hypocritical bullcrap.
Yeah.
I didn't make the decision to run for governor lightly. I'm not a politician or an attorney or someone with money. In fact, I'm still working at my job and not taking a leave of absence because I cannot afford to do that. And this house in back of me, where we live, is a rent house. We don't own this. I am a regular person, just like my three friends who introduced me today. Thank you. I just happen to be running for governor. But let me be very clear. This is a purely personal decision. 2.5 years ago, I moved my mom, sister, and nephew in with me. My mom is over 80, and my sister has numerous health issues that don't allow her to work. So we did what many Texas families do. I moved them all in with me so I can take care of them. Ask any multi-generational home. It ain't easy, but this is what families do to take care of each other. And it's that notion of taking care of one another that I want to take to state government, where it's been absent for far too long. So many Texas families are faced with these same kinds of challenges, from the farmer and rancher in West Texas to the divorced mother who's working 2 jobs to house and feed her kids in Waco, to that employee who may be risking their life by working in construction or at a chemical plant in Houston or Texas City, and everyone in between. I often wonder how many 4-person families are working 5 jobs just to get by. With over 27 million people living here, surely there are a few people who have the right answer. Simply put, Absent Abbott is 1, not asking the right questions, 2, not asking the right people, or 3, just doesn't give a damn. We need a governor who will not cede leadership to others, like Absent Abbott has done with Dan Patrick. We need a state government that works for everyday Texans, rather than employ the legislative theatrics of the last 2 decades, which has only served to hurt just about anyone who doesn't look like them. Absent Abbott and the rest of the so-called Texas GOP leaders have been in power so long that they believe we all have Stockholm Syndrome. Let's actually solve problems instead of fabricating them. Let's invest in our people for a change. Let's transform Texas into the great leader that we are supposed to be. Now, most of us know that you must turn over the soil periodically to keep it fertile. After 20+ years of Republicans running state government, it's time to turn the soil.
Woo!
So do me a favor. I need everyone to donate what you can. Texas is a huge place, and driving around the state is going to take a lot of funds. And you can do that by going to my website, GarryForGovernor.com. Just went live this morning, and that's, of course, Garry with 2 R's. I'm also looking for people to help me in other ways. By all means, tell all of your friends that there is something brewing down here in Texas. A different kind of campaign. A different kind of candidate who is crisscrossing the state to call out in the strongest terms possible what is wrong in Texas. Now, I want you to imagine where you'll be on November 6, 2018 at around 11 p.m. when it is announced that hell has frozen over and Texas has elected a Democratic governor. It's a pretty good feeling. As usual, there'll not be any help from outside of Texas, so it's up to all of us to make this happen. I need your support and ask that you help me make sure that hell freezes over. Thank you all very much for being here. This is my little family right here. This is my sister Sarah. Come on, man.
Help Grandma.
There you go.
There we go.
It's Matt and my mom Peggy. There are bumper stickers to take with you, so put them on your cars and give them to your friends. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good.